Hi all, this is Dr. Mamta Java, infectious diseases specialist and microbiology faculty at DAMS. In this video module, I'm going to discuss a microbiology question which was asked in the PGI exam held in the month of June 2020. Now let us see. The question goes like this. Which of the following are true about Burkholderia malayi? Option A, it's a motile gram-negative bacillus. This is wrong. It is non-motile. It is gram-negative, yes. And strictly speaking, it's not a bacillus, it's a cocobacillus. Alright. So this option is partially true and partially false. Overall, it is false. Then option B, it affects horses. Yes, this is true. Option C, it causes glanders disease. Yes, this is also true. Option D, it causes melioidosis. No, this is false. Melioidosis instead is caused by another species of genus Burkholderia, and that is Burkholderia pseudomalayi. Then option E, transmitted by respiratory route. Yes. So the final answers of this question are options B, option C, and option E. Now let us dissect this organism a little more to be able to answer questions on this organism, because this is a very important organism asked in PGI exams. Now, genus Burkholderia, the members of this genus are relatives of another important gram-negative organism, that is Pseudomonas, in the sense that these organisms, just like Pseudomonas, are non-fermenters, oxidase and catalase positive, aerobic organisms, and they are gram-negative. However, they differ from the genus Pseudomonas in two important characteristics, and these are, they show bipolar staining, that is safety pin appearance, meaning to say, when we stain these organisms, the ends of the organism take up the stain more strongly rather than in the middle. So the organism looks like a safety pin with more strongly stained at the ends rather than in the middle. Then the other feature in which they differ from the members of genus Pseudomonas is the fact that they are resistant to polymyxin B. Now, there are many species of genus Burkholderia which are of medical significance to us. For instance, Burkholderia capacia, Burkholderia pseudomalayi, and Burkholderia malayi. But our focus in this particular video module is going to be on Burkholderia malayi. Now, to be able to remember some important features of Burkholderia malayi, I want you all to imprint this picture in your minds. You can see a girl sitting on a horse, right? Imagine this is a malicious girlfriend. Okay, so malicious girlfriend riding the horse. Malicious should remind you of the species name, that is malayi. GF from girlfriend should remind you of the two diseases which this bacterium causes, that is glanders and farcy. And the girl is riding the horse. So basically, this organism is primarily a pathogen of horses. It does not directly infect human beings. And also remember that this particular organism is enzootic. It is prevalent in animals like horses, unlike and not present in the environment. Whereas other species of genus Burkholderia are prevalent in certain environmental resources also. So they are likely to, infection with those other species is likely to be acquired from environment also. Right? But in this case, in Burkholderia malayi, the infection is acquired typically from animals, and which animals? Especially horses. Some books have even mentioned other animals like mules and donkeys, but at least do not forget horses. So malicious girlfriend riding the horse should come to your mind when somebody utters the name Burkholderia malayi. Malayi should remind you of malicious. Now, as I already said, this particular organism is a pathogen of horses, and it causes two important diseases, glanders and farcy. Now, what exactly are these infections? Now, glanders is a respiratory infection of the horses, donkeys and mules. Basically, this is characterized by nasal discharge and ulcers in the nasal septum. Alright, and what is farcy? Farcy is a localized infection with involvement of the skin, lymphatic vessels and lymph nodes. That is, lymphangitis, lymph node involvement and skin lesions are the telltale features of farcy. Right? So, these are the infections which are seen in horses, and human beings which are coming in contact with these infected animals, they are prone to get infection. Right? And the modes of infection in human beings are the two I's, namely inoculation, that is coming in contact with blood, tissues or secretions of the infected animals. following which the manifestations in humans are going to be confined to the skin, like skin nodules will be formed on the skin, along with involvement of lymphatic vessels, that is lymphangitis, and also lymphadenopathy, and also lymphadenitis also, right? And then the other eye, which you need to remember as far as the mode of transmission of infection to humans is concerned, is inhalation. Okay, now the horses which are infected with this organism, the secretions of those horses are highly infectious, and once any human being inhales these secretions, the person can land up with pneumonia, or the person can land up with an acute febrile illness characterized by ulceration of the trachea. So I have highlighted P of pneumonia, ulceration, U of ulceration, and T of trachea. Remember, PUT put as if this organism is being put into the lungs. Okay, after it is being put into the lungs, it can lead to pneumonia and ulceration of trachea. And as I already said, this is an organism which is primarily confined to animals. So the source of infection are the infected animals. So basically, as far as humans are concerned, it is an occupational disease of those human beings who are coming in contact with the horses, and also other people like vets and butchers. And there are even higher chances of getting symptomatic disease following infection if these humans are diabetics. Okay, so an important risk factor is diabetes. This itself is another MCQ, and a very important valence factor of this organism is a polysaccharide capsule. Now, as I already said, as far as humans are concerned, the two eyes you need to remember: inhalation, which is followed by involvement of the lungs, and inoculation, followed by involvement of the skin and lymph nodes and the lymphatic vessels. Now, no matter how the infection occurs in human beings, it can complicate into disseminated infection, whereby the organisms will jump into the bloodstream and the person will land up in sepsis. And this sepsis is characterized by a very high mortality rate. In certain cases, the disease can run a chronic course also, in which case abscesses can be seen in any tissue, virtually any tissue or organ of the body, and especially spleen and liver abscesses, lung abscesses, pleural nodules, and multiple subcutaneous and muscle abscesses have been reported. I have also mentioned pneumonia over here. Please remember that even if the organism, even if the infection is localized, meaning to say if the skin is involved or the lymph nodes are involved, one serious consequence of this localized infection is dissemination into the bloodstream, followed by involvement of the lungs and a subsequent occurrence of pneumonia. So pneumonia can occur this way also. Now, let me go back for a moment to the cartoon which I showed you. Now, malicious girlfriend. Now, why I chose the word malicious for this cartoon, there's a reason behind it. And the reason is, malicious, guys, it's a negative personality trait. Okay. Malicious is somebody who tries to harm others. Okay. So it's a negative trait. So remember, this organism has got the negative features when it comes to its lab identification, meaning to say it is non-motile. Then it is oxidase negative usually. Most of these strains are oxidase negative, meaning to say if there are 100 strains of Burkholderia malayi, 80 or 90 will be tested as oxidase negative when we do oxidase test, and 10 to 20 will be oxidase positive, right? So this is an exception with regard to the oxidase test, because in the beginning I told you, as a in general, the members of genus Burkholderia are similar to Pseudomonas, that is, they're oxidase positive. Remember, genus Pseudomonas also is oxidase positive, but Burkholderia malayi is an exception in terms of the oxidase test result. Then it cannot grow on MacConkey agar. Sometimes it might be able to grow, but the growth will be very scanty, and also the growth will occur only after 48 hours, not even after 24 hours. So it usually does not grow on MacConkey agar, and also it does not grow at 42 degrees Celsius. Now the last 2 points regarding the cultural characteristics, that is its inability to grow on MacConkey agar and its inability to grow at 42 degrees Celsius, these are important points, important differentiating points from other members of other species of genus Burkholderia. Okay, so these are very important. Now, as far as lab diagnosis is concerned, the specimens which we can go for are blood, exudates, and pus from the abscesses, depending on the clinical presentation. And the definitive diagnosis for this bacterium is a positive culture. Now, let us see how the colonies look like. Now, this is the picture of a blood agar. Let me magnify the picture a little. As you can see, there is no hemolysis. The first and foremost feature which you should comment upon when you see some growth on blood agar medium is hemolysis, whether it is alpha, beta, or gamma. So this is no hemolysis. In other words, this is gamma hemolysis. And the color of the colonies are smooth and they are gray in color. They are translucent. Translucent meaning to say they don't have any pigment, right? And when these colonies also do not have any distinctive odor also. Why did I mention specifically about pigment and odor? Remember, I said that Burkholderia is the relative of genus Pseudomonas, and we know the most important pathogen of genus Pseudomonas is Pseudomonas aeruginosa, which does produce important pigments, right, like pyocyanin, pyorubin, pyomelanin, pyoverdin, and the colonies of Pseudomonas aeruginosa have got a typical fruity smell because of ketones. Okay, but unlike Pseudomonas, Burkholderia malai organism does not have any pigment or any odor of the colonies is appreciated, right? And this growth which you are seeing over here, this takes time. Okay, this organism is a slow, laid-back, lazy organism. These colonies were observed on this medium after a span of 2 days, that is 48 hours, right? And it does not grow on MacConkey agar at all, or if at all it will grow very weakly, and that too after 48 hours. This already I have mentioned before. Now, this is the gram stain picture. Suppose the colonies which we saw on the MacConkey on the blood agar, we want to do a gram stain of the colonies. You all know that gram stain is the most commonly used differential stain in any microbiology lab, right? So what we can see over here, see, let me magnify this picture a little. As you can see, on gram stain, you have to comment on gram reaction, whether it is gram positive or negative. Gram positive organisms will appear blue. Remember, blue is a positive color, and gram negative organisms will appear reddish. Remember, red is the color of negativity or bloodshed, or war and all. So remember, gram negative will appear pinkish reddish in color. So you can see these reddish pinkish organisms. So these are gram negative, and as you can see, the size is very small. They are small, straight or slightly curved cocobacilli. Okay, cocobacilli. That is why in the beginning only, while reading out the question, I mentioned that some books mention this organism as gram negative bacillus also. Okay, that is loosely it can be referred to as bacillus, but strictly speaking, it's a very short organism. So it is referred to as cocobacillus. It is neither perfectly rectangular like this, and nor it is perfectly spherical like a cocos. So it is somewhere midway between these two shapes. This is referred to as a cocobacillus. This is a cocobacillus measuring. And the measurements of this organism are 1.5 to 3 microns in length by 0.5 to 1 microns in diameter with rounded ends, right? And as far as arrangement of the organisms is concerned, the organisms could be seen to be arranged in pairs or parallel bundles or in Chinese letter arrangement. Now, advanced methods of diagnosis are also available, like molecular methods, where we have 16S ribosomal RNA gene sequence analysis and polymerase chain reaction. But these are not available everywhere. And a historical method of diagnosis is Strauss reaction. Now, what is Strauss reaction? When you inject Burkholderia malai into the peritoneal cavity of guinea pigs, the poor animal will develop testicular swelling. Of course, this is not used these days for diagnostic purpose. Then, as far as treatment is concerned, it is responsive to penicillins, cephalosporins, carbapenems, newer macrolides like azithromycin and clarithromycin, and also cotrimoxazole. Now, finally, remember, Burkholderia malai is a dangerous organism. It's category B bioterrorism agent. This itself is an MCQ, and also, guys, it can cause lab-acquired infection, right? In fact, as far as bioterrorism feature is concerned, this organism was used along with anthrax during from 1915 to 1918 by Germans, to attack horses in the United States, Norway, Spain, and some other countries, right? So these are some of the important features of this organism which you are supposed to know. Not a single point you can miss. Everything is an MCQ. So thank you for watching. Any doubts, if you have, please comment in the comment section below. Thank you.